What's up, God's people? I'd like us to consider Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 4 today. It says this: where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. Now, what in the world could this possibly mean? Now, I think that this verse particularly applies to those who are managing people or managing some kind of domain or estate or whatever you might call it. So think, for example, of a homemaker, or think of an entrepreneur, think of a HR manager, people who manage other people. What this verse is saying, think of it this way, that you need to plant crops. And if you plant crops by digging the ground yourself and doing all the work yourself, you are limited because you're just one individual. But even as a single individual, you can multiply the kind of harvest that you will have times 5, times 10, if you use oxen to till the land, to plow. And ultimately, when the harvest comes in, the oxen would also, what is the word? To tread out the grain, to thresh the grain. So the kind of harvest that you would have if you were working single-handedly is a lot less than if you were using oxen in the process. And so this is what, the latter half of the verse says: abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. So you need the oxen to help you increase your abundance, increase your harvest. But the implication of the proverb, which is the first half of the proverb, is this: where there are no oxen, the manger is clean. So picture this manger where there are no oxen. Then the manger is clean because there's nothing to clean up. There are no oxen there anyways. And the message it's trying to communicate is that when you have the oxen there, the manger will not be clean. So this implies, therefore, that in order for the oxen to remain healthy and productive, the manger must be cleaned. But who's going to do the cleaning? The implication is it's you. So if you're the homemaker, if you're the manager, if you're the entrepreneur, if you're leading a team, if you're going to be productive in any way, then the oxen will help you get there. But make peace with the fact that the job that comes with maintaining that team is your job. It's you who needs to clean the manger. The oxen will not clean the manger themselves. So just accept it as part of the package, that if you're going to have a team, you will need to lead that team and help that team to clean up its own issues. It might be, a conflict resolution. It might be time management. It might be, how to communicate, how to handle things, how to make the best use of the time. There's various aspects of running a team where you're more than one person. Someone has to do the administrative work, and it's your responsibility. Don't complain about it. Now, how do you clean the manger? You have to clean the manger regularly. If you don't clean the manger, what will happen is infection will set in, disease will come in, and the oxen will get sick and probably die. So again, if you're going to manage a team, you need to have a regular schedule of ensuring that the team is functioning properly. And that's your responsibility. You have to clean the manger. Now, finally, let me make this connection between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and it will broaden the scope a little bit. So you find that, what is the purpose of a manger? Jesus was born and laid in a manger, right? So the manger is where you put the animal feeds for the animal to eat. So this tells you that you are supposed to feed the oxen. It's your responsibility to ensure that the oxen are well fed. So make sure that the people that are in your team, that they are well catered to, that they have their needs met, that they are being well fed. The purpose of a manger ultimately is to feed the oxen, not just to be clean. So clean the manger and then fill the manger with food. That's the purpose of the cleanliness of the manger. Now, that gets folded into the New Testament and broadened again, because you remember Deuteronomy 25 and verse 4, you shall not muzzle the ox while it treads the grain. So it's like the ox is supposed to eat not just from the manger, but even while it is doing the work of treading out the grain. It shouldn't be muzzled. Now, that tells you that you should provide for your team in all the ways that you possibly can. Don't be muzzling your team. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, if it is in your power to do it, another proverb says. So how does that become applied in the New Testament? You find Paul quoting that passage in 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 9. He says this: "It is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle an ox when it treads out the grain." And then he says, is it for oxen that God is concerned? Does he not certainly speak for our sake? It was written for our sake, because the plowman should plow in hope and the thresher thresh in hope of sharing in the crop. So he's speaking here of the ministers of the gospel, those who preach and proclaim the word. And he's saying that verse is not just concerned for the oxen themselves. Even the human laborers that are being sent out into the harvest, they are not to be muzzled while they are working in the midst of the crop. It was written for our sake, that the plowman should plow in hope, the thresher thresh in hope of sharing in the crop. And so this tells me that this verse applies not just to management in Proverbs, but to ministers of the gospel as well. That if you're going to have an abundant harvest from amongst the crop, then you need co-laborers. But it is not easy to manage co-laborers. It will get messy. There'll be things that you need to deal with, things that you need to clean up. You'll need accountability structures. You'll need constant and regular prayer. You'll need regular meetings. You'll need to be intentional about cleaning the manger. And then the abundance of the crop will come. So this is an encouragement both to those who are full-time preachers of the gospel and pastors, and as well to those who are managers and entrepreneurs and homemakers. Make it part of your life to be regularly cleaning the manger, and the harvest will be bountiful. Grace and peace to you.